All right. Hello, everybody. Okay. Just trying to get my stuff together here. All right. Yeah, just trying to get myself into where I should be. How's everybody doing? So, we are having some fun right now. All right. Okie dokie smoky. All right. So, welcome everyone. How's it going? So, we are in the midst of the March for Macragge. Both Mythos and I teamed up to do this. We've had a number of different people hop on. And yeah, it's a good time. We're having fun. Now, when I first did my video, I said I was going to do a Hellblaster squad. And that was the full intent. Now, unfortunately, time has not been at my side between work and having sick kids. I just haven't had the time. And I did 3 shorts that I put out over the last week. I did one about the battle line Ultramarines I have, so 3 tactical squads and my assault intercessors. I did the close support stuff, so Reavers and my Infernus Marines and my aggressors. I even threw my lieutenant in there just because he seemed to fit in there pretty well. And then I did some close, the long range support, so a couple of my dreadnoughts, my Devastator squad, and my Predator Annihilator. And I was doing that. I was like, oh, I got to get those Hellblasters done. And I realized I really, really need to get some leaders, right? Some, as I used to still like to call them, some headquarters, some HQ choices for my army. Because I am out, basically. I have lieutenant. Now, obviously, yes, legends still exist, and legends are still useful and usable. And you should, but I'm trying to update the army as I go. So I do have a bunch of captain models and chaplains and all that cool stuff, and the characters, right? But I definitely wanted to go for new stuff, right? And the last challenge I did elsewhere, I got 5 Reavers done. I didn't get the Reaver Lieutenant done, so that's what I've been working on. So the March from Macragge has to keep going. I'm part of this challenge. I can't back out now, right? So actually, I've been working on it today, and for the most part, he's done. I'm going to be working on basing as we chat here. Yeah, so this, it's hard to see him, but there he is. All right, so there he is in all his glory. I'm going to take some better pictures and all that. Lots of great detail. I got to say, I know a lot of people, even I have had some, not complaints, but the monopose of the models. I mean, but at the same time, they're very dynamic. Lots of great detail all over them. I know it's hard to see there. But yeah, lots of wonderful little details. I have to work on the basing now. But everything else is pretty much done. Hellchild, I'm trying to. Yeah, no, awesome. Keep it going. March for Craig never ends. Remember that. But yeah, no, it's been great. I want to get him done. I know he's a Reaver Lieutenant. He only go for Reavers. I've heard that all a million times. Reavers aren't that great. That's okay. They don't have to be great. They look great. I think they're going to be fun. If they survive, if they get through a game, who cares? Yeah, no, it's a lot of great detail, and I got them done up. I did them actually over the course of today, over 2 or 3 hours, maybe stopping and starting here and there. But it's a great little model. So we're working on the basing now. Yeah, so just I gotta shake that up a bit more. It's my Astro Granite stuff I gotta use. So we're gonna get that out so we can get this guy all gussied up. That was a lot of fun doing them. It's good to have a new HQ choice too. I kind of need one. I know they're not called HQ choice anymore, but I gotta do something here. Just trying to get my. It's been a long day, so I'm a little less prepared than I'd like to be, but that's what happens. Where was I going? But yeah, so there's a list of people, and I want to. I'm not sure who it is so far. We do have a list of people. I will find it because it is something that's fun. I just saw something. I just remembered I have someone who mentioned that. But yeah, I'll find the listing. I can't find it right now. I apologize, guys. I am a little. Let's see here. All right. It's all good. It's all good. But we do have a number of people who have jumped in as well. I know we've got Hellchild, we got G, we got obviously Wolf Brother Mythos there, or I should say Battle Brother Mythos. He's getting his Ultramarines done, and he's got a whole list of stuff, and it's looking fantastic. He did he showed on his stream last night a bunch of stuff. It's looking mint. But yes, I digress. So I'm just going to start getting this guy based up, and I do love the broken building that he's perching himself off of or leaping off of. I love this the pose here. It's really dynamic. It's really nice. It's good to see them making Marines. It's one of the things about this March Macragge. It brings back a lot of memories from back in the day, and I've been talking about that a lot. But it's cool to remember, also reminisce of when we first started, and to see the changes. And I mean, there's been a lot of changes. Models like this would never have been possible. Hell, even 20 years ago. And you look at what's come out now and what I was dealing with then. It was funny. I was pulling out the my tactical squads, and one of them is almost full metal. I have a lot of metal models in there. And that's just how it was back in the day. You get lots and lots of metal. If you want specialist weapons other than a flamer, or you want heavy weapons other than a missile launcher, you had to purchase them, and they came in blisters of 2, right? With a usually, and there was some cutting you had to do. It wasn't as basic. 80 static, 20 dynamic. Yeah, you know what? You're right. But one of the things you had to do is you'd get 2 metal Marines. It would be the head, torso, and legs in some sort of pose, doing this or doing this, looking one way or the other. And then you'd have the plastic backpack. You'd have the arms and the shoulder pads. Then the special weapon was usually metal, and that's where you had to do some clipping. The gun arm that was holding this way, you had to chop the hand off because there was a hand already attached to whether it was the flamer, not the flamer, sorry, whether it was usually a multi-gun or plasma gun. And then so you had to do some careful chopping, get it on there, make sure the other hand was bracing it. Mythos, my brother, what is up? Welcome, courage and honor. But that was how it was back in the day, right? So I have a lot of Marines like that. I even have some old Devastator Marines, again, that are that are metal, and they have that. And again, it was the head, the torso, and the legs. Of course, they had the big, beefy leg, like boots on their legs, as they were, designed to carry these heavy weapons that were supposed to be incredibly powerful and blow anything and everything away, so on and so forth. And of course, they still do that now. A lot of the squads have the Gravis armor, the heavier, thicker armor, which kind of still makes sense. But yeah, I have a lot of metal, and then I think now, like, I see people playing the game, and I envy them. They're bad. Their carrying cases must be so light. Just the amount of metal I had to carry over the years. So we're just basing the Reaver, the Lieutenant, up now. Courage and honor. We march from Macragge. Damn straight we do. Yeah. And the same thing, as I was going through, I put up the close combat units, or the close support units there, and it was cool to see them all out. Weren't Ultramarines in white, or at least Well, it depends. Now, the cool thing about back in the day, during the before the heresy and afterwards, you could have hundreds of companies, and sometimes they were called chapters, right? So you could have, the 151st Ultramarines company, and sometimes depending on that, they could have slight variations to the blue. And it was in every legion there was always certain parts, or variations depending on the unit. For instance, like Ultramarines destroyer squads, um, and those are the guys that use like chemical warfare, right? That's why they were destroyers. And there were a lot of legions didn't like to use them because it meant you were like wiping out life on the planet, which is not what they wanted to do. They didn't want to. Well, if you were the enemy, yes, but um, their armor was black top to bottom with blue shoulder pads, inside the trim. So depending on uh, the chapter or company you're in, depending what you're doing, there were variations, right? And of course, personal heraldry came into it. You get someone like Sigismund, the first Black Templar. All his heraldry had the Black Templar cross that we have now. So that was a big thing for him, right? And again, it was based also on yeah, like your captain's heraldry could affect your color scheme, right? The I think it was Sigismund, I believe, was the first captain. So his entire company had a lot more black in it than others, right? There was a lot of black trim because that's what he's becoming, the first of Black Templars, right? But yeah, so this is what I'm gonna get better pictures, but this is the guy I worked on today. He's pretty much done. My Reaver Lieutenant, or Lieutenant, however you want to say it. I should say Lieutenant. I am English. I am Canadian. We say Lieutenant in our yeah. So I'm just waiting for that to dry up. Then I can dry brush it with some grays, and I like to throw a little bit of some Morgas brown in there, or not brown, bone. Sorry, I saw brown. I thought brown, but yeah. So obviously after the heresies, where they serve, um, they regiment everything. There's, I know, man. You know what? I don't. We could have a whole discussion about why English is so weird. Like Americans say lieutenant. If you look at it, it's spelt lieutenant, right? It's a French word. There's no F in there, but for whatever reason, the English in the King's language, the King's language, yes, tea and biscuits and all that. They throw an F in there. I don't. It's like why they take the U out, right? We say color with a U. Americans say color with no U in it. I don't know. It's weird. It's English. Doesn't make any sense. One of the hardest languages to learn in the world because it makes no sense. We have words with like multiple meanings. In English, if you say please, you could say, "Hey, can I please have something?" or "Please take something." Right? You go to like Japanese is a perfect example. They have two words for please. Right? One for please take something, and one for please may I have one. Color and colorless makes sense. Those letters make those. It's true. It's true. I don't know, man. It's honestly for me, and I remember I had a teacher say this, and it me ages ago was in college. Said like language is what happens when like German, French, the Romantic languages all had a massive orgy, and out came English because it makes no sense. We have like no, we have everything. We have French in there. We have Italian, the Romantic languages. We have Germanic. We have some Greek, Roman. It's crazy. It's all over the place, right? It's all over the place. Yeah. Anyways, I'll leave you with that. I'll leave you with that image. All the languages, right? But yeah. So back to my lieutenant though. I know he's a Reaver. Leave me alone. For those of you who knew, we've already said that. Yeah. No, I'm glad I got him done. I'm thinking now that he's done, I may try and get another one done. I thought he would take longer than he did. He's done up. He's looking nice. I might actually try and get I'm really torturing myself. I'm thinking I might get that Apothecary Biologus done. Biologus, whatever. Just have another character. I need more characters desperately. I might try the lieutenant with the combi weapons. I don't know, lieutenant with a combi weapon, because he's got the lone operative ability. He can sort of sneak around, do damage, and fun stuff like that. I don't know yet. Yes, exactly. We skip straight to the orgy. That's right. That's what we did. That's what Englishman. Well, kindergarten. I got kids in kindergarten. Kindergarten's a German word. Easy, right? But I don't know, man. I don't know. The way we've taken full sentences and crammed them into one word, right? Like we do, every language does that, but we've taken like goodbye. That's a little useless information. It doesn't do with what we're supposed to be talking about, but goodbye is a very shortened, crushed down version of God be with ye. Right? Not trying to be religious, but that's where it comes from. So goodbye. We took this God be with you and went goodbye. Right. I do have the see, that's why I don't know if I do them. I do have the aggressors, but they have the flames. Right, actually the codex here. I was looking through that too. But if I have, let me see here. Where are you? Where are you? Captain. I need some more captains. I could get the Captain Terminator done, but I don't have the Terminators done. So that's kind of a. Where are you? Tech Marine. I gotta get Tech Marine. But yeah. So he does give them lethal hits. But I'm not actually rolling to hit, so it doesn't really help. It does give him ejected. Yeah. So I've got surgical precision. While models leading unit weapons equipped on models that unit have the lethal hits. Now it could help his Absolver bolt pistol, right? That's kind of it. Strength 5, AP minus 1, 2 damage. Not horrible. 18-inch, but it wouldn't really help the aggressors since they're using the Flamestorm gauntlets. He does have Vivid Spectrum, so if I destroy an enemy unit as a result of melee attack, which would be good, it would charge him with those big power fists. That would be cool, because then it becomes an objective control characteristic of 9 for him, which is pretty cool. Yeah. No, I definitely have to maybe wait on him. I'm thinking at this point, either doing up the could do the Librarian again. You'd want to go with the Terminator squad. They don't have this, so I'm thinking maybe to do Lieutenant with combi weapon, or like I said, I need a captain. I may end up doing, because I have them. Maybe I should get Aerial Ventress done. What do you guys think? Ventress? I don't know. But I'm definitely, although I'd want to take a lot of time at Ventress because I want to get him looking boss, because he is a captain, so he's got to look extra special, awesome. So I may do Lieutenant. I may do the Biologist just because he looks cool. He's a beefy guy, so that'd be cool. All right. But yeah, so I'm just waiting for the base to finish drying here on this guy. I'm really glad I got him done. He's got a great little detail, even like little skulls on the extra armor around his ankles, and little details here and there. He's got a little dagger there. Oh yeah, he's one of the best characters. I loved all his books. I've read them all. I don't think I've read Death of Aerial Ventress yet. He doesn't actually die. Spoiler alert, but it is him becoming a Primaris Marine, which, I mean, they all have to go through, right? But I mean, the first one, Nightbringer, was absolutely fantastic. It was so well done. I know some people don't like Graham McNeil's writing. Yes, no, definitely. Yeah, he's in the Codex. Yes, in the Codex. Sorry. Yeah, no, in the Codex, he's fantastic. I mean, you just scooch to him again. Where are you, Ventress? Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, with the Invictus, his nice bolter there, which is pretty cool. 2 attacks, 24-inch. And then, of course, the Sword of Idaeus, which is awesome, which is sustained hits 1, which is great. 6 attacks, strength 6, AP minus 2 damage, and Master the Fleet, which gives a deep strike, which is nice. Yeah. No, he's cool. He is cool. Nothing wrong with him at all. No, he's pretty cool. I like him. I think I may have to. Who knows? Maybe I'll do him after. But again, I want to take my time on him. I also have Gulliman, who's in the he's in the mix. He's getting painted slowly. I'm taking my time because again, when it's a model like a Primarch, it's sort of like a centerpiece model. You want that model to look good. You want to really pop and look amazing, which is what I want to do with this guy. I want him to look great. I want all my models to look great, but when it's something like that, you really want it to pop, right? Because he's just a fantastic model. Yeah. Anyways, that's looking almost done. Now this guy did have like a grenade, like a smoke grenade going off. I just didn't like the placement of it because it comes in right underneath him. So he's here, and right around there would be a smoke grenade, and the smoke sort of builds up in front of him. I just didn't like it. It felt like it was in the way. I don't know. I didn't like that particular bit of him, so I didn't put it on, which is cool. But yeah, no, I'm just waiting for him to dry up, and then we'll do some dry brushing and talk about all things Ultramarine because it's fun. And with all the new books coming out, the Tower out now, I kind of want to see the fluff in that, especially with all the new Kroot stuff, which is pretty cool. But I'm not going to be diving in that. It looks like a great set. I don't know what you guys think of it, but it looks like a great set. But yeah, definitely not what I want to get into yet. I mean, I'd love to. It looks good, and I've always wanted to build like a Kroot mercenary list. Back in the day, I tried to build one, but it didn't work out. It's a great list back in the day, and this one looks amazing. I like the fact that they've given them finally you finally feel like they have a place in the books now, or in the book, instead of just sort of being a sort of like a filler unit. Back when it came out in third, it was always, as it is now, a very heavy shooting army. But then you had this list, these Kroot. You could take a shaper. They had a model for that, and but he was an upgrade to that unit where you have a bunch of Kroot. It was just basically something to offset the fact that you had no real good combat units at all. And I mean, I know they've improved things, but back then, you're a sergeant, a Space Marine sergeant, could hold up a battle suit on his own, just with the armor saves and even. So it wasn't all that great. So you had this nice combat unit, but glad they've sort of meshed them out a little bit. It'd be nice for them to. It's nice that they got that. It's good. A way to kind of give some just a bit more options in that book. I would love to see at some point, although I don't think it'll ever happen, just because looking at some of the fluff. But I'd love to see the the human helpers. I can't remember what they're called. They have a name for them, but humans that have either been indoctrinated or joined the greater good. It was a cool. I saw that Games Workshop did back in third had a sort of not chapter approved, an unapproved stat line and rules for them. And they're basically a guardsman, but the leader of the unit could have a pulse rifle, and they had some extra stuff like that. But it was cool. Although one of the things is guard had preferred enemy or whatever. Yeah, it was something like preferred enemy against them where they could re-roll stuff, and because they hated them. They hated the fact that they're these humans who betrayed the Emperor. So that was pretty fun. All right, so next we're going to use some rust gray as a first layer of dry brushing on this guy. Just a little bit. Because I want that. Don't need a ton because we're just doing some simple dry brushing. Yeah. little dry brushing here to try and pick out some of these high points. And this is the first layer. I love doing some dry brushing. Anybody news hopping on here, dry brushing is a great way to quick way to get your models looking, or your bases specifically, give them a lot of shadowing and or light really, really quickly, just by gently going over the raised areas. And I generally like to put a couple different layers on. So I started with rust gray, right? Got a little rust. And once that has a chance, I'm going to use Fenrisian gray. Say that 10 times fast. And that'll be the upper highlight. And then, of course, we're going to paint the base, the edging, Abaddon black to make it smooth and look good. And then we can pop with that. But that'll be after. So let that dry up. But yes, the merch from Macragge. I love this time of year. It's great because you get to see other people's great Ultramarines, and there's so many people doing amazing armies out there, and they look fantastic. And I like the fact that sort of the community's taken over. I know Games Workshop has done in the past, like October, which they stopped doing over the last couple of years, which I think is pretty. I mean, it's pretty sad that they've couldn't let it go. I think they should get back on that. Same with the March of Macragge. I haven't seen anything for it this year. They did it last year, but they haven't done anything this year so far that I've seen. But it'd be cool to see. It's great to see other people's Ultramarines. I love the fact that they're an army that's blue can have so much variation to that blue, and it's a lot of fun to see. Plus, it brings back some memories for me because I've been at this for so long. It's great to see. These people doing this stuff, and it brings back so many memories, so many wonderful, wonderful memories. I remember when I first started for working for Games Workshop, like, hey, you got an army? I'm like, well, yeah, but I went through like a crash course in painting within my first month there because they wanted my manager wanted me to be sort of up to a standard. So my models look clean, but I didn't do a lot of highlighting. Right? It was probably more of a confidence thing, but he's like, okay, we're going to teach you how to do good line highlighting. We're going to teach you how to do this. And it took my models from like meh to like pretty good, right? I'm definitely not like Golden Deemer winner. I'm not going to be winning any major painting contest, but it took me from meh to really good. And so I started repainting my Ultramarines I think it was really the first time I started repainting my Ultramarines. And I wanted to look really nice. So I took the time and I rebuilt squads so that the tactical squads that I have in my the shorts I put up, all three of them were done during that time. Repainted. Some have been repainted since, but yeah, the two of them were definitely big on were the ones that repainted and built anew because I wanted them to look good. And how I learned to do that is one of the first things I got to do, and they showed me on a one model, and I let me go on my own. I painted up 50 Moria goblins for a games day. So our store, they go around Canada going, okay, you're going to paint, and they go to all the stores across Canada back in the day, and they go, okay, this store, like store in Bayshore, you guys are going to paint up Moria goblins. The store over here, you're going to paint up a Balrog. The store over here, you're going to paint up some more Moria goblins. This store over here is going to paint up the Fellowship of the Ring. This store over here is going to build some terrain. This store over here is going to, and so, and there's multiple things, right? So I remember that same year we painted up that. We also painted up, what was it? We painted up some militia for Warhammer Fantasy. This is back in 2007. So they paint up some militia for Warhammer Fantasy. So when people went to Games Day, they would have those models out to play with, and it had been done by us, which I always found very, very cool. Right, and then years later, we did more of the same. And at one point, we had to paint up Oh, we had to paint up some bloodletters for 1 year, and then there was the Brother versus Brother tour, which went across. I know it went across Canada. I'm not sure what it did in the States. I have some dice from it I showed off a while ago, but it was salamanders versus the Blood Ravens, and I know we painted up some salamanders for it, I believe. We also painted up an assassin in there too, a Vindicare, because it was one of the things that was supposed to be on both sides, or how to have these assassins. Obviously, it was not like it is now, but there you go. That's looking nice. All right. So that's where I learned, and that's why I started repainting my Ultramarines seriously to a higher standard than I was doing before. And so, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that just got. I said, you know what? I'm not going to try repainting you. Time to rebuild. So I built up a bunch of tactical squads. Got a Devastator squad in there. Blah, blah, blah. I did a special Rhino. I have a Rhino that's actually got a Librarian, a Dark Angels book on the back, and that was sort of my command Rhino. Because I'd run Tigurius with a tactical squad, and he'd be in there with them, right? So that was a lot of fun. Again, it was cool stuff like that, right? Again, there's lots of stories about Tigurius and all the other characters. But yeah, all right. So now we're gonna do up. If I can get the paint out of here. Ooh, I'm gonna have to get some Avid and Black. I'm getting low. Oh wait, I grabbed the wrong one, but this one's got some left in it. So I'll use this bad boy first. Grab the wrong one. Yeah, so I hope everyone's March Macragge stuff is going well. I want to thank you both for doing the March. I don't think I would try. I would have tried what I have on unnamed. Hey man, that's thank you for joining in, man. Honestly, it's that's why we do this. It's just to get people painting and having fun. I know there's so many different things out there that things that we have to deal with, and so sometimes life gets in the way, and this allows us to say, no, I'm going to get this painted. I'm going to enjoy this. Allow us to enjoy our hobby, even a small way of just painting up a model or two. All right, get some cathartic fun out of it, and sorry, I'm just trying to take my time on this edge here. I don't want to screw up my sides. It's a great way to do things. Yeah, thank you very much. Just trying to get this to go around. Hey man, no problem. I this has been one of the most exciting things in a while. One of the things I said I was going to do is start collaborating, and I couldn't think of anybody better to collaborate than Wolf Brother Mythos, because I think we've been fans of our channels for a long time now. I know. I think I started mine slightly before yours did, but I saw your guys' stuff. It was amazing. You saw my stuff. You liked it, and I think we've been sort of buddies on here for God. It's been a while now, which is awesome. And I can't think of anybody better to do collaboration with. So there he is. I'm just gonna. It's a cool little trick. If you ever see this, so when you paint a base, I was taking on the paper. Now this something, and you just put it on the paper. You just twist it like this. It's a cool little thing I learned, because always putting it down will leave that ring. So you just go in here, just turn it, and it dries the black off, or whatever color you're using, and you're good to go. So there you go. We now have a fully painted. Very happy with that. Brever Lieutenant or Lieutenant. I even did the striping. I know it's hard to see, but on the helmet, it's hard to see there, but I did actually get the striping done. So lieutenants have the white, and then the what is it? The white with the red stripe going down it, I believe. No, it's I think I had a memory on Facebook the other day of saying 9 or 10 years. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, that's crazy though, and it's great. That's the kind of stuff that you want to build on. because I love being part of this community. Absolutely love it. Whether it's Ultramarines or just 40K or the hobby in general, I love all of it. Love the fluff too, man. I'm a big fluff junkie, but you guys know that. But yeah, so I am very happy with him. Awesome, thank you. He goes, yes, he's a pretty cool guy. He'll be going with the Reavers. Now again, that knee, the white blotch you see there, it looks good. I hate painting white. It's one of the reasons why the biologist, I'm like, do I really want to paint him? Because white can be a pain. So I remember I had another apothecary years ago, and what I did for him is that's when I had an old command squad ages ago, and I painted him up blue. All right, so he fit with he fit with the rest of the command squad, but instead of going all white, he was blue with the white shoulder that had the helix on it. So I might do that again. I don't know. I know in the book, let me go back to the codex here for a second. I know the codex, I believe, has him all done up in white. You see here. It has him all done up in white. Just do not like painting white. I've had so much trouble with white. Excuse me. So I might paint him blue. I don't know. I got to figure out what hero I'm going to do next. There you go. So now we have a guy to go with the Reavers. He should help boost them a little bit. They're not the greatest unit, I know that, but it's he just looks cool too. Looks very, very cool. Hey man, I'll take tips on white. I mean, I've had to paint white before, and it's been depending on how I do it, it's worked. There's some times where I can get white going perfectly fine, where it applies well. Other times, too much water, not enough water mixed in. Gotta make sure the brushes are clean. Right? So, but he's done now. He's a happy little man. So there is a model for my March from Macragge challenge. All right. Now he went faster than I thought, which is good. So I am going to be hopping onto another one. What it is, like I said, I don't know, but I'm going to hop onto another one. And we'll go from there. He looks good. I like him. Has lots of great details on this guy. Amazing details. How do you base your Ultramarines? I use the technical Astrogranite. I like it because I used to use sand all the time. If you look at my older models, anything that let's see here. So anything in those shorts, all three tactical, no, two of the tactical squads. Well, actually, no, all three tactical squads will now be based with this. I used to use the whole sand. I would put sand in. I'd mix glue and a little bit of water. Put that on sand, dip them all in water that sealed it, and then I would paint it black, or sometimes I'd seal it with watered down black paint, like Abaddon black, whatever, Chaos black back in the day. Then I'd paint it up gray and then dry brush from there. I like this because it just, again, time is not a luxury I have all the time, so I like using this Astrogranite. So I use this, and I'll put it on, and then what I do is the brush, I'll paint it on, and then I'll start sort of like up and down, just like that, trying to build up some texture, and then take a bit more and sort of make little mounds, spread it out, try and make it look rough. Let that dry, and like I just did here, then I would use the where is it? I just lost it. I would use where did I just had it? Where did it go? Where did it go? Anyways, I use a bunch of different blacks. Fenrisian gray, rust gray, or not blacks, but grays, and I dry brush those on. And then sometimes, depending on it, I would use, like this time I used, where is it? Yeah, the Morghast bone, and I give that the very faintest dry brush because it kind of gives it a different color, and it adds a bit more to these layers of gray, right? But there you go. He is done. It's fast. It's quick. It lets me get a bunch of them done at once, and then everyone's happy. That's weird. But yeah, so that's how I do mine, just to get them done quick. There's a little piece here, just want to make sure. There we go. And then there we go. That's just my quick way of doing it. Well, yeah. I mean, that was long. I told you I did that sort of painting training on 50 Moria goblins, and the longest part was the basing. Even painting them, it was just like silver, and then I painted up a silver on them, and then we used ink back in days. We didn't have wash at the point, and then an ink, and then a dry brush of that silver quick to make it pop, and then the skin was just a green with another green on top of it, a darker green, a lighter green. That's what I learned when you painted like an arm, and there's armor here and armor here. You paint this all green, but the next color you'd stop a little bit later. So you'd paint the green right up to the silver, and your next color would be like half a millimeter back, and you paint that up here again. And it was an easy way to do shadowing. All right, it's a great way. Now, obviously, we have all these new paints, the contrast paints, it does it all for you. But that's why I did it. I did that with a whole ton of Moria goblins, lots of green, brown, and silver, and then stuff to make them look rusty. And then the basing was just a lot of sand painted gray, because it's supposed to be the Mines Moria. So something much like I have here. The reason I did the gray is when I was redoing my Ultramarines, one of the big games at that time within 40K was the Cities of Death. And so I was trying to do my Ultramarines like they were walking through the destroyed remains of a city. So you're not going to see a lot of brown dirt or grass. There's going to be lots of just destroyed rubble, lots of gray dust in the air. I even dry brushed a lot of them with I put a little bit of gray on top, just a tiny, tiny bit, and around the boots on the top, the dust falling down, the explosion goes off, shakes the building, dust comes down, hits their armor. I was trying to make them look a little bit more, a little dirtier, because they were supposed to be in a battle zone, right? Ultramarines, I mean, it's cool to paint them nice and clean, and there's trust me, there's models that look amazing. I always like to make mine a little bit dirtier because they are in a battle zone, right? They're not going to be clean. They're not going to be, right? Now, I don't do all the scarring and dings, and some people get it down to like these amazingly fine details. We can see the marks and scars and dents and chips. Oh, there we go. We have a Reaver Lieutenant, all done up and ready to fight. I like it. Ready to fight for the Emperor, for the Primarch. Courage and honor. We march to Macragge. But yeah, and it's a lot of fun. Now, I mean, I know I can't. You're gonna have to tell me, because how did you get to Ultramarines again? Was it me? I hope it was me. Probably wasn't me. But why did you decide to start Ultramarines? I mean, I fell into it. I've told you guys a million times how I fell into it, but I love to know how you got into it there, my brother. As I look at the codex, I want to see some here. I want to see if they have any other examples of the biologus painted up. See if they have any. Just gonna skip through here. Yeah, veteran sergeant. Yeah, there's the lieutenant with the white and the red stripe. Let's see here. No, he's white. Is Ultra one all they did up? I'd be sad they didn't do them in any other chapters. Oh yeah, I gotta get the drop pod done. Good old drop pods. No, he did them up white for the Imperial Fist as well. Don't see one for the Iron Hands here. Although I do need to get a Tech Marine as well. Tech Marines are cool. Let's see one for the Salamanders. White Scars, that's just not going to happen. Oh, White Scars. Yeah, I think everyone's done it up white. I don't know if I'm going to do... Maybe that's something I'll have to decide later. Oh, but this guy turned out good. He's going to look good with my my other Reavers. Now, I did go for a darker tone for these guys, because I know there's something supposed to be really cool about Space Marines, especially if you look at something like Raven Guard, who can, disappear in the shadows and all that. And but I like the fact that you have these, 9 foot tall guys. And I get that this is like the stripped down power armor with the quiet servos and optimized for silent movement, but you're still like a 9 foot tall, massive, like, I don't know, what, 500-600 pound beast of a man. And you're sneaking. You're sneaky. Like no one sees you coming. It's like, how did we not see the giant guys coming? They just, you know. I love some of the artwork where you have these. Yeah, Once I Read No No Fear. Yeah, that's a good one. Awesome. Ultramarines Omnibus books were my first novel, so I've always had a passing interest in them. Once I Read No No Fear. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, no. But there's this wonderful bit of artwork where your POV is looking at these cultists or chaos renegades that are in there poring over their data slates and trying to, and there's like 1, 2, 3 reavers above them. They have no idea they're there. And one of them's on like the roof of this building they're in. It's just a little shed. Like you should have heard this guy coming. But there's 3 of them, and these renegades or cultists or whatever, they're toast. They're going to be dead in 2 seconds, right? The reavers will be in, have killed off the command of this rebel unit, and it'll be over from there. Done, toast, which is as it should be. But that's what I love about these guys. I like the way they look. I like the fact that they have these death masks that they're. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love it. Yeah. So no, there's lots of cool. Let's see. There was an awesome little. What was it? There was an awesome little story written by Graham Neal that went in the White Dwarf, and they had a cool little setup for it as well. It was about Ventress, so we were talking about Ultramarines. And it's when he's still a sergeant, because Captain Idaeus is still alive at this point, and they're trying to hold a bridge that the Night Lords are crossing. We're trying to hold this bridge. The Night Lords are coming over. They already sent squads of Marines to sabotage the bridge, but that failed. And it has to do with it talks about his resolve, right? Because and it kind of gave him a human notion of not fear, but sort of trepidation, not real fear, like, but he's like, oh my lord, like, oh, by the Emperor, what is, like, can we win this? So not, which is kind of feels sort of anti-Marine-ish, but at the same time, when it's developing this character of being a sergeant, and all the shocking moments when these rhinos are coming across, these Night Lord rhinos, and they have the bodies of Ultramarines crucified to them, their chests ripped open, and they're still alive, right? And these are the Marines they sent over to sabotage the bridge. They obviously were captured. They've been crucified to the front of these rhinos. Hearts are still beating, their chests are open, they're in agony, they're pain and all that. Of course, they still have to keep firing, so they just keep emptying bolter rounds. They're slowly dropping Night Lords. A missile slams into the front of one of the rhinos and explodes, and it veers off the bridge, which is really cool, right? It was from a short story, and they have the Ultramarines sitting there in these pillboxes at the end of the bridge. Rhinos are coming up. The Night Lords are pouring out. It's funny because it was really well done, but it was because they were releasing a new Night Lords captain or Chaos Lord at the point, a metal one. It's a really cool one because he's this big Night Lord. He's got a power fist in one hand. He's got the helmet and everything. He's got a bolter with a combi flamer, and it's a bunch of skulls hanging off the bottom of it, right? It was really cool. They're Night Lords, so it's got skulls and skin and all that on it. But they got a cool Ultramarine story in there too. Right? It's supposed to be like the fear of the power that the Night Lords have at causing fear, right? Which again, the Ultramarines obviously stood against them. I believe it's part of the whole story where Captain Idaeus dies, and he gives Ventress his sword, and Ventress actually reforges a sword in the omnibus. One of the stories there, and he has his own sword, and he still has it to this day. Right? Obviously, you see it in the model and the rules and all that stuff. But he's also a very different thinker. He's like it says there in these rules, an unorthodox tactic. So he does stuff that the Codex doesn't fully support. which again is one of the crazy things. People think the Ultramarines are kind of boring, the vanilla Marines, but there's a whole side to them. There's this weird dichotomy that runs through them where you have the new Marines, the new Ultramarines, who are very by the book. They see the Codex. It's obviously venerated as this amazing thing. And obviously that's changed a bit now, but even the young kids, they still venerate this Codex as the ultimate thing, which again, their primer created it. So yeah. But as you see, the older Marines, the veterans and all, they've realized that they can't use the Codex as the be all end all. Like they need to be able to vary their tactics from time to time in order to succeed, right? Especially with things like the Tyranids. That was a big one, right? And that's what happened to Ventress. He actually changed up his tactics and he did stuff differently in order to defeat part of another high fleet, and he got busted for it, right? Sergeant Nearchus basically turned him in, saying he broke with the Codex, and of course, then he has to go on a punitive crusade. He goes off, finally comes back, and he's reintroduced as the captain of the 4th Company, right? But the Space Marine game did the same thing. You have this Captain Titus, who's he got the Titus treatment. Captain Titus in the game, and spoiler warning if you haven't played the Space Marine game, but Captain Titus, for whatever reason, is very immune to the powers of chaos. And as he goes along, he uses some tactics right from the get-go that aren't 100% Codex compliant, but he had to do what he had to do in order to win. And you have this battle brother that's with him who is brand new. I mean, he's just become a Space Marine, a full-fledged power armor Space Marine. This good Codex Astartes does not support this action, right? And at the end, he gets turned in by this guy, and he says, "You failed." That's my favorite line in the whole thing. When Titus is being dragged away by an Inquisitor and some Black Templars, I guess they threw them in, and he's like, he looks at him as "You failed," right? But that's the thing. Even if you go back to the aftermath of the battle for Macragge, where Calgar does the whole 40-day, 40 nights thing, he goes off and he's meditating and thinking, and he comes to the conclusion, this has been long-winded, but it gets to it, that the Marines, the Codex was made for the Marines are not made for the Codex. I mean, the Codex is an amazing guide, but it's there to help the Marines. The Marines are not there to uphold the Codex. They're not there to make sure the Codex is listened to. It's supposed to be a guide and helpful tool to make sure they can do their jobs, which is a big thing. And that's why there's then the Conclave of Hera, where they decided right after where Cassius like, we have these Marines that are supremely experienced at fighting the Tyranid Metis. Let me make them into a fighting force, a elite fighting force. And like, well, that's not part of the Codex. And of course, then they found gene stealers on a planet, and they said, "Okay, Cassius, this is your moment. You take your these tyrannic war veterans, for lack of a better term." That's eventually what they became, obviously, and said, "Okay, go deal with this Tyranid assault, these gene stealers, and the existence beyond this completely depends on your success." And of course, they went out, they completely destroyed the gene stealers, not a single Marine was lost, and they came back, and okay, well, now we have Tyrannic war veterans. Here they are. This is this elite unit within the 1st Company that is specifically designed for fighting Tyranids. And of course, in its place, they would second them to other chapters so they could spread this knowledge of how to fight this new Tyranid menace, right? So it's really, really cool. But again, it was sort of this whole needing to having to kind of break with the Codex in order to succeed, because things change, right? The Codex was written 10,000 years beforehand. And again, when you get back to the Ultramarines supplement that came out in 8th, there's a whole thing in there about, the Tyrannic war veterans being very worried. Like, we deviated from our Primarch's back. We never thought that would happen. Our Primarch's back, and we deviated from his Codex. Is he going to be upset? Is he going to be, is he going to dismantle us? And Gallman's like, "No, this is awesome. You guys did great. Like, this is fantastic. You saw a problem and you built a solution to it and you defeated it. That's awesome. Way to go. Congratulations." And he sent them out with renewed vigor. Of course, then the Codex has changed again, because companies have gotten bigger. There's more units per company now. It used to be 100 Marines in a company. Now there's more than that, right? The chapters have gotten bigger. They're becoming more specialized. Instead of having tactical squads doing the job of multiples, now you have whole units with, you've got your Infernus Marines, you've got your aggressors, you've got your intercessors, you got assault intercessors, you got heavy intercessors, right? So you got all these new squads that are specifically done for one job, right? Which is how the legions used to be. You'd have a tactical squad that could be up to 20 Marines back in the Heresy, and not a special weapon amongst them, right? They were just all bolters. But then you'd have tactical support squads. It'll be all flamers, or all melta guns, or all Volkite chargers, or all plasma guns. Your Devastator squads would be 10 Marines across, and they'd all have heavy bolters, so all have las cannons, or all have auto guns, or auto cannons, I should say. Again, every unit was a specific thing, right? Because there were so many of them, and now we're getting back to that where you have specific units, right? So it's cool. I like it. So you have your assault intercessors with jump packs now, which is your longer range assault units, right? So I would like to see Outriders get something like an attack bike. Outriders are cool. I know things have changed. I feel bad for White Scars fans or White Scars players because they, like 95% of their army disappeared. Again, you can play Legends, but if you want to go to tournaments or, keep up with things, like 95% of your army went poof, like that, right? So I feel bad for those guys. But yeah, that's what makes Ultramarines interesting. It's a long-winded way of saying it. They have this sort of a duality to them where they're like, especially when they're younger, they hold on to that codex to venerate as this amazing thing. But as they get older and realize that it doesn't work that way all the time, you'll find the older guys are the ones that break the rules more often, right? Because they know, well, yeah, sure, all these tactics are great, but if we do this, we can win. Well, that's, again, the Codex Astartes does not support this action. Well, yeah, the Codex Astartes may not support it, but it's what we're going to do so we can beat the orcs or beat the Nids or beat whatever. So that's really cool. Oh, I'm loving this guy. It's Biffy. I love that he's jumping off. I like the dynamics of it. Jumping off a piece of broken masonry or broken building, about to just slam that massive combat blade. Although his weapons are weird, which just kind of throws me off, and it hasn't been corrected, so I guess they want to leave it that way. But if I look at Reavers, where are the Reavers? No, I'm gone too far. No, maybe I'm not far enough. No, I went too far. If I look at, where is it? Terminators. Yeah, the Reaver squad. You got your special issue bolt pistol, which is a strength 4, AP -1 damage, and you have your, which also has pistol precision, right? Oh, they do. They get the ATV like this. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. I learned something. I don't have any of those myself, so I haven't really looked at them. But then you have your combat knife that they have. That's what their basic, and it has precision. Now it's got no AP value to it, but their special issue bolt pistol does is precision. And if I go to the Reaver Lieutenant, he's got a mastercrafted special issue bolt pistol, which has pistol precision, but no AP to it. Now strength 4, damage 2, and he's a combat knife, but he's got no AP, which is, I find, very weird since he's got the same gear that the Reavers have, but I guess maybe it's because it's mastercrafted. They didn't want to have 2 damage and AP -1, which it should anyways. I don't know. Seems to be the thing they should have done. I mean, the lieutenant with Phobos armor there has paracombat blades that have sustained hits 1, but he has no AP. And the melee weapon for the lieutenant combi weapon has anti-infantry 4 plus and sustained hits, but he also no AP. Weird. I guess they didn't felt that was a good way to keep them from getting too powerful, right? But yeah, no, I think at least his pistol should have AP -1, but I don't know. Still a cool model to have, and I'm glad to have him with my Reavers. I think it'll be a cool unit. It kind of makes me also, I had a vision when I first got these Reavers in this guy for something bigger. The big project I was doing that kind of got stalled out. I had started on something I do want to get back to. Remember during a Q&A I did at the beginning of the year, Nick from Idic Beer 40K asked, what a big project. I didn't really have one, but I'm thinking, along with getting the Ultramarines painted up and all that, I want to get back to this big project, which is this massive tower. And I was thinking of doing like, what it is, it's actually it's a plant display, and it's got basically a quarter of a rounded quarter, like a pizza slice for each level. And it starts off big and gets smaller as it goes up. I was thinking of doing, maybe I was going to do something along the lines of like the various levels of a hive city. Obviously, not specifically, but the bottom level is going to be like the slum, right? And there'd be some broken up building and some defensive positions, and then as you went up, the top level would be outside, so that would be like lots of communication devices and stuff like that, right? And the bottom level of that would be like, where where the highborns of the hive would live. The level after that was going to be like an enforcer sort of level, and the level under that would be like manufacturing and all that. And then again, the bottom level would be the really the bad parts, the underhive. So it's been kind of like up and down. I don't know. And now I'm thinking, doing something similar. I don't know. I've been looking at it, sitting there in my with all my other hobby stuff, just sort of sitting there, and I'm waiting, trying to see if I go on it. I've got the base level. I've got the stuffs glued in. I have to get some PVC as a trying to figure out if I should get a smaller one or a thicker one, as will be put in, because each level's got 3 wooden dowels, basically nicely shaped. I've got to cover that. That is obviously the support for the level above it, right? And so the back one on each one, I want to turn that into where a big elevator would be. I've read lots of books. You read books about Necromunda. There's been some other books where they're on other hives, and there's the massive elevators that carry you up, right? I mean, look at I've been reading, or following along, I should say reading, but some YouTube channels that have been talking about Dark Tide, and obviously there's a lot of getting to these elevators to get from level to level. So I was thinking maybe even getting some square ones, although it's going to be kind of hard to make it fit. The round ones will actually fit a bit better, and that'll be an elevator, so you get from level to level, right? So you make it in, the next turn you pop out on the next floor, and you try and capture objectives, kind of going vertically instead of horizontally, right? So I don't know, I might get back to that. And the vision had would be an infiltrating unit of Ultramarines, Reavers, led by a Reaver lieutenant, sort of barging in and trying to fix things before things got out of control, or be sort of the advanced attack, the advanced scouting and attack for the Ultramarines as they're on their way, right, to save the hive from whatever treachery is there. So I've been looking at it going, right now. Of course, instead of doing an Arbites sort of level or force level, maybe make an old Ultramarines base in there somewhere, right? Not that the Ultramarines have lots of bases, but they do. They have set up fortifications on other planets, right? Sort of whether it's a protracted campaign or a place to leave a presence. There was during the original version of the 13th Black Crusade, the Ultramarines, I can't remember if they did it for the newer version there, but the Ultramarines always had what was called an honor company on Cadia, because it was sort of a way to honor, it's an honor company. It's basically always have a permanent presence and honor the sacrifices made there by the Cadians and everybody else to keep chaos at bay. Right now, they may get into that whatever. Now the Horus Heresy series over, I'm hoping they do something about the scouring, sort of the after effects, a nice epilogue to the craziness that was the Horus Heresy. But the Ultramarines always had an honor guard there of Marines constantly there. Other chapters might have had, but there was always an Ultramarines presence on Cadia. It was just cool. I was just thinking about it now. Back in the day on the website, the Games Workshop website, before it became the Games Workshop store that it is now. It's just a store. I mean, their community stuff is cool, but back in the day, when you go through it. It wasn't selling anything at first, right? That came much later. But you could, if you went to look at Ultramarines, it had a whole story of the Ultramarines, and you could go unit by unit to figure out what every unit was doing. And at one point, they had sort of like a choose your own adventure story there, and it was a squad of Space Marine honor guards, so the ones with the big banner and the cool axes and the cool sort of helmets with the eagle face and wings on them, and they had to go find Creed. Creed was needed. They were tasked with finding Creed and getting him where he needed to go. And so you had this whole choose your own adventure, and depending where you go, you could end up fighting off hounds, like chaos hounds, to a demon prince. And depending which you choose, you either failed and everyone died, or you got to Creed and they were able to get him out of there. So it was a little cool little choose your own adventure thing. But yeah, so there's always been a presence of, again, the original version. They had Ultramarines there. I think in the newer version they were there too, but they were arriving. I don't remember it said anything about them actually being there permanently, but yeah, it's cool to see I like that. That was a cool bit of the story. So hopefully we'll see what happens in the Scouring if they decide to do that. It's like the next big story. It's weird because they were finishing up the Horus Heresy. They did the Big Beast series, which is like 2,000 years later. It's at the 32nd, or it's 1,000 years later, and kind of sets up how the Imperium is now, because there's that gap in between there. And I think if they want to do anything, that's where it should go next. I think because again, if you're an Ultramarines fan, the Ultramarines are over that. They were heavily brutalized by the Word Bearers, but once that was defeated, and they were on their way to Terra, they were, compared to every other legion, were relatively unscathed, and they were basically dispersed to try and chase chaos away and stabilize the Sol system, and then the Segmentum Solar, and then for even further out to try and hold back the darkness, while their legions, like the Salamanders, Imperial Fists, the Gray, the everybody, the Raven Guard, the Iron Hands were all basically devastated and trying to recover. And the Ultramarines said, "Oh, damn, what the hell?" Even the Blood Angels were heavily massacred, and everybody was sort of trying to rebuild. And here's Gullman going, "Okay, well, here we go, boys. Let's try and do something and push everything back." So that was cool. I always like that. So hopefully we see a story. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see what happens afterwards. Really cool. Again, I'm a big fluff junkie, right? So I know I'd like to see that. That would be really cool to see, sort of, and it would be great to see to deal with the aftermath of the Horus Heresy and the scars left on the remaining Loyalist Brotherhood, because it was not easy for them afterwards. Obviously, they at one point the Ultramarines and the Imperial Fists almost came to blows, because Gullman said, "Okay, well, we can't let one person ever have that much power again." That's why I wrote the Codex for the Astartes, right? So that he could, and he separated the Imperial Navy from the Imperial Army, and then the Imperial Army became the Imperial Guard, or the Astra Militarum. The Imperial Navy was over here. They are now separated. Space Marines have their own thing. They will have their own way of getting around. They'll be separated, and we're going to break them all up and spread them across the stars, right? That way there's Space Marines everywhere, right? And obviously you take legions already mauled up and go, okay, now you can only have 1,000 guys, and some of them took to it. I mean, this what's his name, Vulcan, went to Gullman and said, "Hey, listen, I don't have enough men to make 1,000. Like, don't make me break up." He's like, "Okay, you don't have to break up." And then other people like Russ got the Codex and basically went, "This will make good toilet paper," and didn't listen at all, right? And then Dorn didn't want to break his legion, and it got to the point where, with Dorn's stubbornness, it almost got to the point where sides are being chosen: the people that wanted to follow Guilliman and the people who didn't. And all of a sudden, it was on the verge of having another civil war between the Astartes, right? Obviously, they're devastated. The PTSD was probably through the roof. If they ever come up with like an Imperial, like a Space Marine, psychologist, like that model would be like, right? But they almost came to blows, and then weapons ships were arming to fight each other again, and then Doran said, "No, enough. We're not. I'm not fighting my brothers again. We'll adopt the Codex. Enough is enough, right?" And so that was crazy, right? You'd already just gone through civil war, and they came that close to having another one. He said, "No, enough. I don't want to fight my brothers anymore. I don't want to fight the guys that I fought with. We'll adopt the Codex." And obviously, it's changed, and things have, and even the Codex compliant chapters have all had little divergences here and there because of the personalities of their Primarchs. The Blood Angels have their Death Company. The Dark Angels have their Raven and their Raven Wing and their Death Wing, which are different. But that's some of the stuff they took from their Primarch, and then the Space Wolves who couldn't care less. They're like, "Yeah, Guilliman, that's thanks for the book. Um, the pages seem absorbent. I'll go test it out." Flush, right? Oh, and if you're a Dark Angels fan, I don't know if it was mentioned in the books, but there was at one point mention of what's called the Steel Wing. So you have the Raven Wing, which is all your fast vehicles and all that. You have the Death Wing, which are Terminators, and the Steel Wing was their like mass armored assault. I think it's in there somewhere. I may be wrong. I probably got retconned out at some point. But that was a cool thing. I just thought of that. I was talking about. But yeah, so that was Guilliman doing his thing. He changed everything. I'd love to see the fallout of that and how all that gets worked into whatever shape the Imperium took after the Horus Heresy was all wrapped up, right? I'd also love. One of the things I always wanted to do, and maybe I'll one day, but I don't know. There's not enough. Because I was a big fan of taking ideas and trying to see how far I could go with it. I remember trying to come up with an army list, and this will go somewhere. Trying to come up with an army list for what happens after the Imperial Army gets decimated or is in losing or has lost territory. What happens to civilians? And I realized, and I was reading some cool stuff. There was a little card you could cut out when they were doing the Eye of Terror. So you could run your own Eye of Terror campaign. And one of them was about how ecclesiarchy missionaries would create militias from the survivors. It said, what would a militia army look like? What would a militia army look like? What type of gear would they have? And I looked at real world history. You have squads of militiamen armed with like las guns, auto guns, whatever they could find. And I went back to looking at things like the French resistance, the Maquis during World War II, and sort of fighting with whatever they had. Lots of subterfuge. One of the things I took to is what would a assault on an assassin's base look like? Because that's one of the cool fluff pieces where I think it was during the beheading or afterwards, where they basically go hunt down one of the assassin lords, not one of the High Lords of Terra, but one of the assassin, and a whole combined crusade of Marines, including Ultramarines and Space Wolves, and all, attack one of the assassin temples, and it comes down to at the very, very end. And again, you're fighting assassins on their land, and it doesn't state which assassins it is. It could be Vindicar, it could be Calexis, whatever. It comes down to one Marine finally shooting the lord of these assassins dead. So it's this big army of Marines that comes down to one Marine finally putting a bolt round in this guy's head. So again, some crazy cool fluff there. I don't know if it's an Ultramarine or not, but yeah, it was a cool story. I'd love to see something about that too. Oh, so much cool fluff. But yeah, some artwork. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you guys are painting along. I was hoping to paint more of this guy, but I just sort of got into him when I was painting him, and now he's done. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm glad he's done. He's going to look great with my Reavers. And I'm going to take some cool pictures. I'll put them on the community post for the channel, and I'll put them up on some of the other groups I belong to. I'll probably email up on my Instagram. He'll be there with his boys. But yeah, I'm really happy how this turned out. Like I said at the beginning, I was going to do I was going to do the Hellblasters. Made sense, but with kids being sick and all that, real life getting in the way, I decided to do this. Now he's done. I'm probably going to try and do another one. The Hellblasters may have to wait. Sorry, Mythos. They were an amazing gift. I will get them done eventually. I will have those Hellblasters in my army because Hellblasters are pretty cool. But I decided, you know what, I want to get something done. I'm part of this. Myth and I started this. I can't let you guys down. So I'm glad to get him done. I really went at him today, and he's done. So next up will probably be another, again, like I said earlier, I was doing those short videos for the channel there to sort of, say, hey, look, it's March from Macragge. Here's some kick-ass Ultramarines. And, I only have a lieutenant with a master crafted bolter. I need more. I definitely need more. So I'm going to go from there and get more done. In the fullness of time, I want to get the other apothecary. I want to get a tech marine because the tech marines are pretty cool. And looking at the different detachments, I was looking at these guys here. I've got the Gladius Strike Force seems to be cool. That one was built, in mind of the Ultramarines. But the way my army right now, the Firestorm Assault Force is a better one for me because it's a lot about, getting assault into assault range and, it adds one strength it adds one to the strength of the characteristic of the attacks, which is great because I have lots of flamethrowers, so it doesn't hurt having, where's my Inference Marines? I believe they're strength 5 with their they're strength 5 with their Pyroblasters. So I wouldn't mind having a strength 6 Pyroblaster, right? Stuff like that. So I do definitely want to get my Marines back up. I prided myself in having an army back in the day that could kind of take on everything. I had to answer everything. I don't anymore. I got to get back to that. No pity here, just chilling, enjoying Catan. Well, thank you very much, my brother. No rush. Well, I definitely want to get them done. And yeah, it is a cool model. Like him. He's very stabby. I just like the fact he's about to just skewer something. He's about to skewer something. And it's going to die in a brutal, brutal fashion. Yeah. No, I used to have sort of like my tactical squads and, rhinos and I used to have to sort of be able to take on pretty much anything and do pretty well. Some armies I've always had trouble against. Excuse me, but I definitely want to get my Marines back to that place where I can say, and obviously I'm going to have to start getting into like things like getting some of the new battle tanks. I want the, which one was it? Oh, I've been looking more at the stuff that I do have than the stuff I don't have. But like, I definitely need to get, where is it? I need to get the, which one did I want? I want the Gladiator Lancer, definitely. I should probably get myself, an Eliminator squad. I have the Hellblasters, an Eradicator squad, right? I have the Ballista Dread I have to get done up too. Right, lots of cool stuff there. But yeah, there's certain things that I need to get. I need to get the, where is it? Why can't I find it? Yeah, I need to get, I need to get a Land Rare. I've been saying that forever. But I need to get the Repulsor, not Repulsor, an Impulsor. I do need to get an Impulsor or two to, because I think I'm gonna, yeah, Lancer's pretty cool. I need to get an Impulsor because I do it to be a Doomsayer. Because for the longest time I said, oh, we'll never. I remember when we first got a look at the new Primaris Intercessors. I'm like, yeah, that. I honestly thought, much to my embarrassment and chagrin, that I thought, oh, it was just someone taking. It was someone had made that up. It was a kit bash. No, there was in the Intercessors. And as we've gone on, we've seen more and more stuff disappear. And not to be a doomsayer, but I have a feeling by the next edition, anything that isn't Primaris will be gone, up into including vehicles. So I think Whirlwinds will disappear. Anything that's built on a Rhino chassis will be gone. Razorbacks, Rhinos, Predators, Whirlwinds, anything like that will be gone. Tactical squads will be gone. Devastator squads will be gone. that'll be the last of it. I think we'll definitely keep drop pods and land raiders will be there. We got the new Terminators, so land raiders will definitely stay in. Drop pods are just too cool. But yeah, everything else will have been replaced at that point. So I think I definitely trying to future proof my army a bit. So I got to put the rhinos away, put the vindicators away, eventually put the land raider away. That's what I want. Or not the land raider, but the predator. So I want to get rid of that, replace the rhinos with impulsors, right? Replace the tactical squads with intercessors or heavy intercessors. Still painting here, awesome, man. Yeah, definitely want to replace. The 3 tactical squads will eventually go bye. They'll pass on to the realm of legends. Definitely want to get some heavy intercessor squads in there to replace them, or intercessors, right? To have the manpower, because I've always been big on. Definitely get some blade guard. But yeah, very, very cool stuff. So that's my future plans. I got to get the ballistus dread done too, because I want to replace my dreadnoughts with newer stuff, and having a ballistus dreadnought will help there. Was it? We'll still keep our flyers and all, but yeah, I've got the ballistus, and I'll replace the dreadnought I have right now that's got the last cannon missile launcher. The other one I want to replace with the Redemptor. I definitely want a Brutalis dreadnought as well, and attack in the tactical warsuit looks pretty cool, but a Brutalis is pretty nasty with the Brutalis fists. Now, fists. Huh. Would I go fists or talons? Ooh, I like the fists. Or 10 attacks if I do a sweep. I don't know. I'd figure it out. But I definitely want to replace what I've got with the newer stuff. So that's on my list of things to do. I have the stern guard to do up. Those are pretty cool. I have a drop pod I should probably finish up. That'll stay. I think any flyers will stay. A drop pod will stay. Drop pod is sort of one of those things you kind of have to have, although we haven't had them we've had them since 4th edition. I think it's when they came out. Yeah, 4th edition is when they came out. So it was really weird getting them going. We have drop pods now, because it was a really cool thing. Really, you could only really deep strike Terminators or jump pack assault squads. But all of a sudden, hey, here's a drop pod. And oh man, drop pods? Really? That used to be a Forge World only thing. All right, like a drop pod was this big deal, especially if you wanted to get a dreadnought drop pod. It was Forge World. Oh, it was this prized possession, right up there with the Thunderhawk. And then all of a sudden, here's plastic drop pods to go to town. So I should get that done up too, because it'll be cool to drop in some heavy intercessors. Oh, excuse me, on like an objective, and just have them dug in there and really hard to move. But yeah. I don't know if it's going to be reimagined too much. It is God, I say it's a newer kit. It's in itself is, probably 20 years old now, right? It may get reimagined, but I think I like I don't think it'll reimagine too much. There's they've been too quiet on a drop pod. I don't know if they'll get reimagined too much. It's a pretty cool kit. It works. Right, and it's part of. They have been pretty quiet on it, but it was a cool part of the fluff back in the day, right? If they stay quiet, it'll just be Horus Heresy. Yeah, well, that's true. I honestly think that they should. It was a Forge World only thing. I'd love to see it come back. Is one of the Chaos drop pods. I can't remember what they're called right now, but they had their own drop pods. Which were different. Instead of it slamming down the doors, busting open, Marines coming out, it was bigger, lots of spikiness, obviously, and it would come down and slam into the ground, and it would actually start rising up, and the Marines would be in the center, rise up, and the other thing could go back down. It could actually launch itself back up into space, so you didn't have to take them up afterwards, right? So there's actually a cool Horus Heresy story to that too, where they for whatever reason, because of how they're designed, the machine spear of them was very aggressive, and obviously the legions that turned, Oh, well, thank you very much. Same update on Mr. Dice as you're the Ultra Master. Well, thank you very much. But these dread, I can't remember what they're called now, dread pods or something like that. They were it was a different version of drop pods, and they would land. They said they could actually take off, but they had a very, very aggressive machine spirit that was very prone, especially during heresy, to twisting to chaos. Yes, a dreadclaw. That's it. Thank you, dreadclaw. And so and what would happen is during the heresy, they would loyalists that were still using them, they would malfunction on purpose. The Dreadclaw would open up in space, dropping and just leave the. So it got to the point where the loyalist legions were just dumping them in space. They were getting rid of these dread pods entirely, blowing them up, dumping them in space, getting rid of them because they were nuts. There was something wrong with them. Of course, the traitor legions loved them because they would just slam into the ground. Very powerful. They were bigger than the dread. Like if you had a drop pod like this, the dread pod or the dread claw was like this big. It was massive. I love to see Chaos get something like that again. It would go well with the way that they're sort of telling the story of Chaos. I mean, imagine having Angron and his world eater starts slamming the ground and dread claws pouring up berserkers everywhere. Vashtor, the new main big baddie there. I don't think he's going to replace Abaddon, but he's definitely something, a new force for Chaos to follow. He wants to become like the fifth Chaos god of tech, right? So, I mean, it'd be cool to see a mass of these things come down, twisting. Technology is this thing, right? That's one of the cool stories that I'm hoping they don't abandon too readily. With this weird mechanical accidents happening all over the Imperium because Vashtor exists, right? He could be over here, and you've got servitors over here going wrong. There's some really cool stories about that. I kind of hope that's not one that just sort of is there and disappears, right? I'm looking at you, Yvrain and Yakarn and all that stuff, the sort of abandoned storylines, but hopefully that they keep up on that one. It was really cool to see what happens, especially with the Pariah Nexus stuff, where sort of you've got this guy who loves. I'm actually interested because you've got this has to do with Ultramarines. So you've got the Pariah Nexus happening, where you've got the Ultramarines and all sorts of chapters in Imperial Guard fighting against the Necrons. You've got a Necron civil war happening, where you've got the Silent King and he's got his forces, and one of the other I can't remember his name right now. One of the other Necron lords has his forces, and he doesn't want to follow the Silent King. So you get that going on. You got the Imperium trying to take back this dead zone. Have you ever seen the Pariah Nexus videos there? It's bad, right? Like this is, if you read the Pariah Nexus books about that one, the last one, it's not good. It's like creating this calm, but it drives people nuts and like wastes them away. And now you've got Gulliman and a lion heading there. Vashtor's there. He's popped up. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen when Vashtor starts taking on the Necrons. Because his whole shtick is, I can make technology go nuts. There's cool stories, and I have not the latest right there, the one from last month, where you've got servitors going nuts and killing people. You've got Tau battle suits in the middle of battle just going haywire. Like the Tau inside can't control them, and they're literally blasting away at their own people. You've got the leagues there with their kin, their specialized kin, their AI robots that they treat just as you would treat another person. They care about them, suddenly turning on them, betraying them, and there's guardsmen fighting them, and all of a sudden these AI start turning on their own people, and the leagues are like, what the hell's going on, right? Completely, this is not something. So Vashtor is having this effect everywhere just by existing, right? He's that much, like, that's how powerful his effect is on everything. So I can't wait to see something, Gulliman line meeting, I think, is one of the most important things they have to do, and they have to do it well. And I hope they make it so that, while they have their differences, they're going to be like brothers again, because that's what they should be. The Imperium needs that. But it'd be cool to see them, and all of a sudden Vashtor there, and he's messing around with technology. How is Vashtor and the Silent King going to deal with that, right? if all of a sudden Necron legions are marching across the battlefield to start take on some Imperial guardsmen, all of a sudden they start turning on their own, or something messes with the protocols and they start mutating, right? Would it be crazy? It'd be crazy weird to see a Necron and more or Necromore all of a sudden twisted some sort of weird chaos mutation because Vasher was like, hey, tech, right? So I think it'll be pretty cool. But yeah, that's where I hope things go. It'll be cool to see what happens to Pride Nexus. Although, on another note, it is weird to me that we've got Leviathan was the start of this edition, and we did get some campaign stuff about that. But then all of a sudden, and that's the big thing, Leviathan, you've got these new Soul Blade fleets. It's the Fourth Tyrannic War. It's this massive thing, right? The Imperium is still reeling from, what happened with the Arcs of Omen, and all of a sudden, boom, here's a new fleet. Leviathan's back and better than ever. It's going to eat everything. And then you get a little bit of campaign stuff for that around this Tyrannic War, and all of a sudden, back over here to Brian Nexus. Right? It's I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hey, Mr. Funkin' Hungry. But watch your stuff, man. It's really, really cool. I think what you need to do is you need to do different peanut butters. I want to see different peanut butters. I want you to go through and do a taste test and pick out the bestest peanut butter in Australia. All right? You need to do that for me. I'm a big fan of peanut butter. But I just found it weird that we went from over here in the galaxy to over here. Just back to the Pride Nexus, right? Okay, I'll try it, brother. You don't have to. Don't take advice from me. Trust me. But I found it weird that we would go from one section. They do this big thing, Leviathan box set, all this cool new models, new Tyranid stuff, and all of a sudden, back over the Pride Nexus. I guess that's where all the characters are going. That's the story, and I don't know. I'm hoping. Other times they've jumped around. I said the story is disappearing. The whole Yvrain thing. You need the God of the Dead. It was this big thing, and it was the sort of what it was the big changeover from 7th, 8th edition. We got all these new characters. The Primer was back. Here's 8th edition, and nothing. Right? They sort of just they were in the Eldar codexes. You kind of have them, but they and then you had the Psychic Awakening. Oh, they're back again. Here's their list again. Here's some cool stuff, and then they just say, "Hey guys, you're stopping by. I appreciate that. How you guys doing?" But yeah, they had this whole the Psychic Awakening. They were back again. They had a book just about them, which kind of told the story we already heard, took it a step further, sort of set up. What was next, sort of also kind of made their whole quest to gain all these Crone swords impossible because they stuck one in the realm of Slaanesh. So they sort of basically said, okay, well, they want to get all these swords together. They want to summon the new god of the dead who can beat Slaanesh forever, and then said, okay, but by the way, one of the swords is in the realm of Slaanesh, which is impossible to get through. So I know. How's it going, guys? Hey, welcome. Yeah, we've been talking about all things Ultramarine, some fluff. We finished doing up this guy here, a Reaver Lieutenant there. I got him all done up. Actually, I was hoping to paint more of him on stream, but I got into painting him today, so we finished basing him. So he's all done up. He's a happy guy. I'll put some better pictures up later. But yeah, no, it was we were talking about all things Marines. I'll use my yeah. Well, hey, that's G, the Hyper Sapien, guys. If you don't know who Funkin' Hungry is, that's his amazing food channel where he goes and talks about all the different foods. He does taste tests on stuff. That's a lot of fun. There he is. What's up? Oh man, I haven't done a good wah in a while. It was something I remember. I was talking to one of my coworkers who's also big into 40K, and he remembers. Yeah, it was funny. He's does something else where I work, but he remembers me from when I worked at Games Workshop all those years ago. And he remembers we did these walls, and it got us into actually a lot of trouble because we were working in a mall, and so we'd have these mega battle Sundays, and yeah, we all need a good wall, and um, we purposely made them as loud as we could because we wanted people to know we were there, right? It was such a weird niche store. This is back in 2007, 2009. I worked there, um, and we would wall, and we get the kids just to wah as loud as we could. We go 1, 2, 3, wah. It's like I want them to hear it down the food court. I want them to hear it down, and this is back in the day. We want to hear them down at Zellers. That was at the other end of the mall. And we get kids to yell, wall, yeah, wall from Macragge. We do this massive wall, really, really cool. And we were like, okay, well, we didn't get in like trouble, but eventually security would come and go, hey guys, can you kind of keep it down? We sort of, uh, you know, we got some noise complaints. And I remember when we did Apocalypse back when the original versions, um, oh, you can call your boy Boss Steve. Thank you. Hey Greg, how's it going, man? Welcome to the party. But we played an Apocalypse game, and we got um, all together from everybody that came. We had we had about 40,000 points aside. It was massive, right? And we had two big gaming tables in our front area. We had three big gaming tables in our back area, just filled with models. And the store was packed. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do this. My boss there, he was kind of like, um, he's like, yeah, let's do this. We had such a loud wah that people were coming out to hear it, and we had later on, I wasn't there for it, but a representative from the mall came, I think the next day, and said, listen, you guys got to like keep it down, right? He's like, yeah, we were just doing a special event. It was we probably won't have anything big, and we never really had anything that big again, but it was just like, yeah, we're just having fun. And they weren't mad, definitely like, this is a mall, we can't have people screaming like that in a mall, right? So that was sort of like, okay, all right. But it was fun. I mean, they didn't know what to do with us at the same time, right? Because we would get these like quarterly reports about how every store was doing, right? And everybody could see it and see who was the top seller in um, their category, right? So you had like clothing stores and bookstores and whatever, and we we were. I'm just trying to think here. We were categorized. You think we should have put? They would have put us with something like there was an EB Games there or a bookstore, right? But we ended up being categorized with the Disney store, right? I guess they didn't know where to put the Disney store in it. If you don't know what the Disney store is, I don't know. I haven't seen one in Canada in ages. We used to have a bunch in Ottawa, and they're all gone now. Just, um, but it was the Disney store, right? And we always got categorized with it. And of course, it's a Disney store, and we are very niche at that point. Games Workshop was, and we got blown out of the water every quarter by them. They were making millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. They were destroying us. So they didn't really know what to do with us now. Now that mall now is vastly different than all the it's all clothing stores and all that. What okay, but you could meet okay, let's see here. A great story. Either so sure. But you could kill her guy on McCraig, probably a squig. I don't think you'd have a squig one. Um what food would they have them? Well, they'd a whatever they eat. I don't know. Whatever they can get imported from the rest of Macragge. I don't know what they eat or Macragge, the rest of Ultramar. Probably great foods and delicious. Whatever they could. Probably burritos. I don't know burritos. Who knows? I don't think they'd eat squig though, because in order to that would be dangerous. In order to eat squig, you also have to have orcs there, and I don't really think they want orcs around there. Maybe it's being processed in. I don't know. Um, probably like spicy food. No, I don't know. What food would they have? Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a good one. Maybe who knows? I mean, they Space Marines can eat pretty much anything. So I don't know. I don't think they're having corpse starch though. That's sort of a rest of the humanity thing, right? Nothing like eating your ground up, processed, synthesized remains of your best friend. Yeah, probably space food, ice cream or tube. I don't know if they're gonna do ice cream. Ostensibly Greek style food like stuffed grape leaves. Probably it would make sense, right? I don't know. I think they probably eat nice roast beast and um, chicken or whatever else, whatever version of chicken is in the 41st millennium. It's probably chicken that they have to hunt. If chickens in the 41st millennium probably mutated into some sort of giant cockatrice looking thing. And we got the chicken. Oh, the chicken's good. Yeah, it took 12 men down before we killed it. What? Yeah, I wouldn't want to see what a cow looks like in the 41st millennium. Although, what is it? One of the big staples is groks, which is their version of cows in the 41st millennium, and they're like giant. They're reptilian. They're like giant. You ever see what was it? Those what was it in Star Wars? Those giant things that the dewbacks, I think they're called, that the in the remake, the revisioning of A New Hope, those big things that the stormtroopers are on. That's a grox. It's like that, and that's like their cows in the future, right? But yeah, who knows? Oh well, I mean, on Terra, there's no indigenous life left over. There's everything that was once living on Terra is gone, right? There's no cows, no chickens, no animals of any kind, no native trees. Everything's just giant cities, right? So I don't know. Sounds legit to me. But yeah, that's the big thing. Groks. I remember there was back in the day they had the monster maker where you could make up monsters. They showed you could do like the barking toad, the catachan barking toad that was basically toad that went around the battlefield exploded. You build the catachan devil. One of the things was a herd of groks, and basically they took I can't remember they took some fantasy lizards and put them together to make these big, and it was a herd of groks that would charge the battlefield, and they had like a groks hunt over there, right? Yeah, bantha, that's the other one. Yes, thank you. Although I went for the more reptilian thing because that's what groks are supposed to be, right? I think all marines will compared to some. Oh, absolutely. Well, I think all marines eat really really well compared to everybody else that isn't super duper rich, right? If you look at like, I mean, the sisters probably eat well at their monasteries and all that. But yeah, the common citizenry that isn't like super duper rich are living on a beautiful. Wow, that's dark. I don't know what's dark. The corpse starch. Um, yeah, if you ever really want to get to, people have been like, "Oh my God, there's cannibalism in 40K." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty much everywhere." Chaos Space Marines eat whatever Chaos Space Marines eat. Uh, I don't know what the Eldari or the Dark Eldar eat. Orcs eat everything. Necrons don't eat anymore. Tyranids eat everything, everything. Um, but yeah, there's in especially in things like, well, I mean, in the Imperial Guard, they have corpse starch. If you look at Negermunda, they have the corpse grinder cults, which are the unfortunate happenstance of being part of the corpse grinder guild, where you take dead bodies and you process them into food. Um, yeah. So, and more often than not, they fall to chaos. Usually corn because of the amount of skulls and blood you're dealing with by grinding up people's bodies into processed food. So yeah, that's what a lot of people in the hives eat. The Imperial Guard eat. Yeah, it's like, I gotta get my corpse starch ration. You liked your friend Greg. Well, now you're eating him. Um, haven't you seen VeggieTales talk? Yeah, well, that's suspect at VeggieTales. That's weird at VeggieTales. Yeah, but so Yeah, they probably. It's a good question. What do Space Marines see? That's something you need to cover. All right. What do Space Marines? What is the normal dietary choices of, say, Ultramarines, Space Wolves, Imperial Fists, Imperial Guardsmen, the rich people? It's cool if you read some. There's stories about Necromunda, and there was one where a hive ganger managed to make her way all the way up to the top of the hive through machinations that were not her own. Well, I thought hive would have bees and it should have honey because of hive rolls, right? I'll stick with fungus ale and squig burger. Hey man, squig burgers. You never know. We could be missing out. That the orcs could have their own Gordon Ramsay, right? Um, it could be they could have their own Gordon Ramsay of orcs, and he could be making amazing food. But right, of course, right, fungus grows on the dead rather than actual bodies themselves. You're not eating your friends, just some mushrooms. Oh, I don't know, man. Reading some more Necromunda stuff. Their corpse starch is bodies. It's a synthetic thing made out of bodies. The fungus is there too. I'm sure that's probably, but it's actual bodies, man. It's pretty bad. Um, yeah. Anyway, so this hive ganger, she gets to the top, and she's marveling at a desk that this gilder that's all the way top has because it's made of wood, and she has absolutely no idea what wood is. Right? She's seen steel and metal and rock and concrete. She's never seen wood before, right? So Gordon Ramsay Outerworlds orc fungus is tastier. I want to know how you know that. But I'm a little worried about you, G. If you are messing around with orcs, that's how you get orcs. Do you want orcs? Let's not get orcs. Okay. Again, yeah, that's one of the funny things about the books. It's because the Necromunda. Well, maybe it is different, right? Because I've read a lot of Necromunda stuff and talks about corpse starch, and it's people. Like it's Soylent Green is people, right? Uh, yeah, I know Gaunt's Ghost is weird too. That's I could do a whole thing on the inconsistencies of some of the writing. Gaunt's Ghost has been really good, but between writers in different series, you have things like the trusty lasgun being able to punch through power armor, or be basically just a flashlight that does nothing, right? I've seen it runs where it's bouncing off of like tin roofs, and other ones where like a guy gets hit in the head and it rips his whole jaw off, right? It's We find the mushrooms with the sniffer squigs. It's like truffle hunting. There you go. See what you have to do now, G, my friend, is we have to get a 40K sized orc model of like Gordon Ramsay, right? He needs this, and he just sells the most delicious orc food possible. Everything else is bad, right? But he's got his squiggle orange, right? He's got grot stew, I'm sure somewhere in there, right? Are you? I have absolutely no idea what you're saying there, man. Fish in particular. Sorry, I have no idea what that is. I apologize. I need to read Gaunt's Ghost. Yes, Gaunt's Ghost is a great book series. Right from the first one to where they are now, it's crazy. It's good though, right? They go through just absolute hell though. Stranger, I'm hungry now. Shouldn't be with G. Hey man, if fungus makes you hungry, go for it, man. Right? I mean, we do eat mushrooms. I love the whole. Yeah, the Gonsko series is one of those good ones. It's one of those ones that stood up and it's been pretty good. What's your favorite dance move? Oh, I am a. You ever heard of the White Boy Shuffle? No. No, I have no. I don't dance very well because I have absolutely zero rhythm. No rhythm. Right? I do that with the start the lawnmower, and I'm shopping, and I'm shopping, and I'm shopping, and I'm shopping. Right? That's that's one of those little John Travolta. That's true. We well, that's not true. I personally have no rhythm. If I was like one of those Dancing with the Stars thing, I'd be the guy who like tripped over his own feet, took his head out on the floor, and was knocked unconscious for hours. Yeah, that like, oh well, he's out. First dance done. Right? I'd try and do some sort of spin and end up knocking myself out. I don't dance. All right. But I am going to call it there, guys. It's almost midnight here. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Everybody who came along. It's been a ton of fun. Got a guy done. Get your stuff done. Me either. Yeah, I can't dance. Hey, no, you guys go to bed. Take care of yourselves. I need to get to bed. I need to get some sleep. But yeah, no, it's been. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Keep getting your stuff on. Keep it fun. Remember, we march from Macragge, courage and honor. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.